Yeah, I would feel very weak without protein. It's essential for me.
Mary Ott has the energy of someone half her age. She takes part in yoga at Unison at Kirby Center and says eating protein in her 3 meals a day keeps her feeling strong.
You can have eggs or cheese. You can have beans. Um, you can make a variety of meals with, like I like to make chili now with beans. I make my soups with beans and lentils. I love making homemade soup. I'm a soup person. I can eat it 3 times a day. And I make my own homemade sausage, which I have with garlic, slices of garlic.
I love it. So it's not hard.
And then I chase it all down with sauerkraut one day, and red cabbage the next day.
The 79-year-old says making protein a part of every meal has become second nature, and she maintains that getting enough doesn't need to break the bank.
When I'm in a store, I look for just uh, the reduced pricing of things. You either freeze them right away or use them right away.
Yeah.
It's all affordable. It really is. To eat well, it isn't expensive. It's the junk food that kills you. I don't do much junk food in my house.
As we age, maintaining muscle strength becomes one of the biggest keys to staying independent. But are you getting enough protein? Today, registered dietitian Carol Holland explains how much protein older adults need, the best food sources to get protein from.
They used to say you have to combine them very precisely. Like if you're having black beans at a meal, you have to have brown rice at the exact same meal.
And how much protein powder is recommended in your diet.
Why is protein so important as we age?
Protein is used for literally everything our body does. We need protein to grow hair, grow our fingernails, digest food, heal wounds, everything, literally everything. So as we age, if you're over 50, you've probably already noticed your body sort of slows down a little bit. Things kind of get a little harder, take a little longer. So the more that happens, the more you need protein to keep those functions going efficiently in your body.
Are there signs that we're not getting enough protein?
In extreme cases, your hair is going to fall out and you're not going to feel well. But generally speaking, for the average person who does eat protein at least a couple times a day, if you find that you cut your finger and it takes an extra day longer to heal, or everyone has the same common cold, but you're sick for 2 extra days, or if those things aren't happening, but you just think about food constantly, maybe you eat a really good breakfast, lunch, and then supper's like you have an extra helping. And then in the evening, you're thinking, like, why do I need 28 snacks to get me through to bedtime? That can also be a sign that you might not have quite enough protein in your diet.
That reminds me of something. I went to a nutritionist after my kids were born, like 20 years ago, and I was having trouble sleeping. And they said, well, how much protein are you eating? And I obviously wasn't. And then they explained that's why you're not, one of the reasons why you may not be sleeping. Is that correct? It could be interfere with your sleeping when you're not getting that protein?
Yeah, it absolutely can. And it depends on the timing too, right? For some people, you might have enough protein, but it's too close to bedtime or too far away from bedtime, and that can interrupt your sleep as well.
Okay, can we talk a little bit about that? Are there the best times to eat protein, whether it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or more at other meals?
So the best time to eat protein is all throughout the day. And it's gonna make you feel better and make your body work more efficiently if you have it at sort of equal intervals. So let's assume a person is not skipping any meals. They're actually eating breakfast and lunch and supper. You want to have a good solid protein source at each one of those meals. So what do I mean by a solid protein source? Maybe a 4-ounce piece of meat, like a chicken breast, or 2 eggs or even 3 eggs, or a full serving of Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. If you just have a couple nuts sprinkled on top of your salad, sure, that's protein, but it's not enough to carry you through to the next phase of the day. So once you've got your breakfast and lunch and supper, whatever time that happens to be in your schedule, Then you want to think about, if you're having snacks, can you add maybe a smaller portion of protein to at least one of your snacks as well? That's where you're going to get the optimal intake, all spread out through the day. And that gives you enough eating opportunities to actually get enough grams of protein.
I know a lot of us tend to like our sweet breakfast and have the donut or the cinnamon bun or some just pancakes for breakfast. Not a great idea.
If you're starting your day with something that has added sugar, especially, but even if it's not added sugar and it's just pure carbohydrate, it's just a starch, your body's going to burn through that energy quite quickly and you'll be hungry a lot sooner. If you add a protein to that breakfast, that's going to take you right up until lunchtime potentially, give you a little bit more energy, and it's more like a slow release energy. If you have that cinnamon bun or Danish, you're going to get a big spike of sugar, lots of energy, all bubbly and excited, and then crash. Whereas if you have a protein with it, it's more like a slow rise, slow fall. So it's a little bit more manageable. Mood's going to be better. Energy is more sustained.
Mhm. Yeah, I know for sure. I feel different when I have more protein than not in the mornings. I get a
Yeah,
little bit shaky before noon, right?
yeah,
Does
yeah.
someone in their 60s, 70s, 80s need more protein than a younger adult?
So that's a really nuanced answer. So the short answer is yes. But let's consider first that the amount of protein that you need depends on your body weight. So we're looking for about 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. So if I'm a person who weighs 70 kilograms, or that's about 155 pounds, then I'm going to need about 70 grams of protein in a day. Now we know that as we age, something called sarcopenia happens. So that's just a normal age-related loss of muscle mass. Doesn't matter if you're active, if you're overweight or not overweight, or healthy or have some chronic conditions, we're all going to lose muscle mass as we age. So if that starts happening, we need a little bit more protein in our diet to compensate for that. The downside is that one of the things that sometimes happens as we age is that our kidneys lose efficiency. So if you have kidney disease, you actually need less protein. So it has to be really individualized. But the short answer is yes, we need a different amount. It just depends on the person as to what that optimal amount actually is.
Is it fair to say as long as you don't have kidney issues, you should be bumping your protein?
Yeah, at least 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. If you're very active, then even as high as 1.2 grams. So, for example, if you're a 150-pound person, that would be 80 grams of protein a day instead of that 70.
Okay. And talking about that muscle loss, I guess just another reason why we need to be doing more weights and that type of thing as we get older too, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yep. So keeping your muscle mass intact as we get older depends on two things. One, eating protein, and two, using your muscles so that they will actually build and get stronger. So we need to have both. The other thing to consider is if you are losing weight, you are also losing muscle mass. So whether you're losing weight intentionally, you're on a weight loss journey, or some people have low appetite, or medications that make them not hungry, or there's all kinds of reasons why you might
Mhm.
eat less and lose weight unintentionally. But we need to be really careful in those situations as well, that you're eating adequate protein and using your muscles for weight bearing exercise so that you preserve muscle mass as best you can.
You touched on something there, like not having the same appetite in some cases. Are there ways to make sure we get enough protein even if we're not feeling hungry?
Yeah, so the best way is to have something ready
Mhm.
that you can just grab. So if you have a low appetite, the thought of eating is already exhausting. But then if you think, now I have to go and open the fridge and see what I have and wash some vegetables and cut things up and then stand at the stove for a while, it becomes very, very difficult to sort of wrap your head around all that before you've even actually stepped in the kitchen. But if you have things ready to go, if you have Greek yogurt cups or cottage cheese ready to go, or 4 or 6 boiled eggs or egg muffins in the freezer, Then you have something really quick. You just pop it in the microwave or the air fryer, or just peel off the lid of that yogurt. And now you have a protein source that didn't take much effort. It's small, it's easy to digest. Most people are going to feel okay with that. So either those days when you do have enough energy, prep something in advance, or ask for help from a friend or family member to help you prep that stuff in advance.
Those are great points because we know that humans like convenience,
We do.
right? And we want
Yes.
things now when we want
Yes.
them. Yeah.
We do. Yes.
What are some of the healthiest protein choices for older adults?
So I don't think that age makes any difference when you're talking about what a healthy protein source is or isn't. So generally speaking, at any age, we're looking for leaner meats. So if you are going to be eating meat as your protein, we want to choose fish or chicken or turkey more often, and then have beef and pork a little bit less often. If you are choosing a red meat, you want to choose something with the fat around the edge that you can trim off. It's going to be better for your heart health. So as lean as possible. And then if you're choosing a dairy product like Greek yogurt or cottage cheese or ricotta, then you're going to be looking for 2% milk fat or lower as the healthiest choice there. Of course, we also have nuts and seeds to consider as protein sources. They're high in fat, but they're really great for our heart health, for our brain health. They're a great source of energy. They've also got fiber in them. So, you know, a little bit of portion control is great, but those are definitely a healthy choice as well. And then our legumes. So kidney beans, chickpeas, lentils, that whole family of foods, really high in fiber, a lovely protein source, no fat at all, and really great for our heart health. So at any age, eat your beans for sure.
I want to break down a few things from there. I love peanut butter. Then I hear things, no, that's just sugar and just fat. Can you just say if peanut butter is a good protein source?
It is a good protein source. There are a couple of things to remember though. Number one, peanuts are really healthy. They're high in fat, yes, but it's really healthy fats, good for your heart health and your brain health. But if you look at a jar of natural peanut butter in the store, you'll notice that the bottom is really thick and then there's a layer of oil on top. And it takes quite a lot of work to mix that back together. If you don't mix it back together, then the protein at the bottom is like a brick. It's really difficult to get out. We need to mix that fat in. So your typical peanut butter has a little bit of icing sugar and a little bit of palm oil added to it so it doesn't separate. That's the difference. So if you're willing to do the work of stirring the natural peanut butter, then yeah, you can avoid that little bit of sugar and that would be the optimal choice. However, regular peanut butter with that sugar added still has the healthy fat and still is going to give you the benefit of eating the peanuts. So that's also okay.
And it tastes awesome. I could eat it
It
three
does
meals a
taste
day.
awesome. Yes. Yes.
I have stopped doing peanut PB&J though, because I said, you know what, I don't need the extra sugar, and there is like sugar in the peanut butter that I like because I
Yeah.
haven't switched to the natural stuff because I like that bit of sugar, and I think I don't need
Yeah.
the extra jam with it, so
Ah,
cut that one out.
that's
Or
very
put a
restrained of
banana
you.
in, right? Because
Yeah,
banana has that sugar
absolutely.
in it, and it
Yep.
gives you the PB and banana.
Yep.
Talking about those other proteins, are plant proteins as good as animal proteins?
Yes. The short answer is yes. There are a couple of things to consider here too, though. Protein is made up of amino acids. So those are the building blocks of our protein. There are 20 of them. Some of them are essential, which means our body can't make them. We have to get them in our diet. And the other ones our body can make. So as we eat proteins, it's going to take it apart into its little constituent amino acids and reassemble the proteins that our body needs for digestion and other functions. Animal proteins, like a piece of chicken or fish, has all 20 amino acids. So when you eat that food, you're getting a complete set of proteins. Plant proteins, like legumes, nuts, and seeds, don't have all 20. There's always a couple that are either missing or in very short supply. So if you only ever ate the exact same source of plant protein all the time, you would be missing a couple of amino acids that would then impact your body's processes. Your body wouldn't be able to create certain hormones or chemicals that it needs to do its thing. So if you are focusing on plant proteins, you just want to make sure you get a variety of different sources. Don't always eat black beans. Sometimes have chickpeas or kidney beans or tofu. Don't always eat almonds. Sometimes have peanuts or walnuts alongside. That will make sure that over the course of the day, you get your complete set of amino acids. Now, they used to say you have to combine them very precisely. Like if you're having black beans at a meal, you have to have brown rice at the exact same meal. We know that that's not necessary anymore. You don't have to combine specific things at the exact same time. It's enough to just make sure that you are getting a variety of plant-based proteins through the day. Now, that said, plant-based proteins have the advantage of having other things in them, right? So they have different vitamins and minerals. And the more brightly colored things are, the more antioxidants you have, which are cancer-fighting chemicals. But they also typically have fiber, which is something that plant proteins don't have. And a high fiber diet is the cornerstone for chronic disease prevention and management for every chronic disease we have, whether it's diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, all of it. We're looking for a high fiber diet. So those plant proteins will give you protein and fiber in one tasty little package. So it's a really great advantage that way too.
And you were mentioning that the brighter colors, are you talking like for example a red lentil, or what are you talking about there?
Yeah, exactly. So if we're talking about fruits and vegetables, think about all the ones that are orange and yellow and red and purple and blue. So we can get that to some extent with our red lentils. And sometimes we have grains like rice comes in, white rice, brown rice, black rice, red rice. So we can get a little bit of differentiation in our chemicals there as well and get that extra boost.
Okay, so say I'm having for dinner black beans and rice.
Okay.
Do I need to have that supplemental protein at that same meal with it, or is it okay if I just switch to lentils the next day? Or do they need to be in
As
combination with each other?
It doesn't have to be in combination at the same meal, but it should be in the same day if possible.
Mm,
Yeah. But with that meal example, one really easy thing to do would be to make sure that your rice is brown rice,
mm.
because white rice has all the fiber and protein taken off. With brown rice, the whole grain is still intact. And so you are getting a little bit of plant-based protein in that brown rice, and that's going to complement the amino acids that are in your beans.
Okay, so we don't necessarily have to think about having multiple different types of beans. It could be like another product besides like another bean or a lentil or a
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You could have beans and brown rice at one meal, and then you could have some almonds for a snack, and then maybe you have tofu at another meal, and then maybe you've got a dairy product, some Greek yogurt or something in there, or an egg. That's a lovely variety that will give you
Yeah.
a full set of proteins in the end.
How much of a difference does it make if you're not getting a complete protein? Like if you're only getting those ones from, say, a black bean you're having that day, is it a big deal to not have the full picture? Or are you still getting some benefit?
For sure, you're still going to get some benefit. Absolutely. There's lots of nutrition in our plant-based protein foods. If you are still eating meat or dairy products or eggs at some point in the day, then no, it's not a big deal. Because remember, your animal proteins do have the complete set of amino acids. So if the black beans are missing one or two, it doesn't matter. If you are a vegetarian and you don't have any meat at all, or especially if you're vegan and then you don't have eggs or dairy products, then it's a big deal. You need to make sure you're getting a variety of different plant proteins throughout the day. Um, but yeah, if you're eating any animal proteins at all, then it's going to have less of an impact.
Are high protein and a high protein diet um, safe for people like with the animal products? Is it safe for people with like heart issues, or should they be thinking more about having only certain days of animal-based protein?
So if you have heart disease, the thing to consider with animal-based protein is the amount of fat that's in it. So with our dairy products, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, that means 2% or less. With our meats, if you consider how high off the ground the animal is when it's alive, that's going to give you a clue as to how much fat is in the meat. So cows are the biggest. They have the most saturated fat in the meat. After cows, you've got pigs and lamb, kind of pig-sized, maybe a little less. And then you've got your turkeys, chickens, and then your fish. The closer to the ground the animal is when it's alive, the more heart healthy the meat is going to be. So it's not that animal protein's not good if you have heart disease. It's that you want to have your closer to the ground animals more often and your higher off the ground animals less often.
That I've never heard that. What a great reminder of that. You know what? And that just made me think when you said insect protein. That was a good vote for insect protein because we always hear that that's, the planet can't sustain everyone eating
I know.
meat at some point. And they talk about, well, so many other countries aside from North America, we don't rely on insect protein, right? But
Yeah,
a
yeah.
perfectly good source.
It is, and it'll be a very interesting marketplace when that eventually becomes more accepted in
Yeah.
our culture.
Well,
Absolutely.
I always say if it's all ground up in a pasta or something, and I don't know it, I wouldn't really care
Yeah,
if it was in there. I just
yeah,
don't like
yeah,
the idea of munching on a grasshopper
yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah,
But having said that, I always tell my kids, don't worry about if there's in our lettuce that we grow at home, don't worry if there's a bug or two in there.
yeah, yeah.
At
Extra
least it's
protein
not
for sure.
the 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 lettuce that they're getting in from that's causing all the problems in the States.
Right?
I'd much
I
rather
know.
have my own homegrown
Yes.
lettuce.
Yeah, with a
And
bug or
muscle
two.
and loss and frailty, we hear so much about losing muscle as we age. And so can eating enough proteins actually slow that process? Or uh,
Yeah.
yeah, what kind of a role does that play?
So frailty has a lot to do with loss of muscle mass. So making sure that you're eating regular protein can prevent that loss of muscle mass from happening as much. Um, but protein also is going to, like I said before, give us a more steady energy source through the day, which can go a long way toward helping our balance, right? If you think about a time when maybe you skipped a meal and then you stood up really fast and your head kind of spins for a second, if you've got regular protein intake, you're not going to have that low blood pressure on standing as much, and that will make it safer. That's a lower falls risk for sure. And then, protein has to do with bone health as well, right? If we can combine some of our protein sources with things that have calcium, like use Greek yogurt or cottage cheese as our protein sources, that's also going to make sure that our bones are as strong as they can be as we age. And then that will help lessen the impact of frailty and protect us if we do have a fall.
Those are excellent points, Carol. Protein shakes, protein powders. Can
Yeah.
you get enough protein? I mean, it'll say 25 grams in a scoop or whatever. Is that the kind of protein we should be getting? And is that enough if we have it from protein meal replacement type things?
That is a great question, and it's a very nuanced answer.
Mhm.
So, um, yes, you can get enough from supplements, but it is always better to get your nutrients from food if it's at all possible. The only exception is vitamin D, because vitamin D is not in very many foods.
Mhm.
But for the most part, all of our other vitamins and minerals, fiber, and protein, we can get enough from food. So if you can actually eat enough food, it's always better to start there. Now, if you can't get enough from food or there's certain health things going on where you might need a little extra protein, absolutely using a supplement to give yourself that boost is okay. A couple things to remember about supplements. If you're talking about a powder, they are only protein. Compared to a product like Boost or Ensure, those nutritional supplements that's a meal replacement drink, they have protein and carbohydrate and fat and vitamins and minerals. So it depends on your health profile if you would choose a meal replacement that's more balanced or if it would be only a protein supplement. The other thing about protein supplements is that they're usually sweetened. Sometimes it's sugar sweetened, and if so, it's going to be a fair amount of added sugar. Usually it's an artificial sweetener, which is safe, but they don't taste the same. And so you've got to actually enjoy the way they taste. But they also can cause diarrhea in some people. And so you want to be careful about what type of artificial sweetener you're actually using if you have irritable bowel syndrome or you're prone to loose stools, just because that can also be a falls risk. I don't know if you've ever
Right.
tripped or banged into something when you were running for the bathroom, but we want to make sure that we're kind of not creating another problem by giving ourselves a supplement to solve a different problem. The
Yeah.
third thing that I would suggest is that some people are using protein to manage their appetite as part of a weight loss journey. Protein supplements won't actually affect your appetite. They will give your body nutrients and they will help you, prevent loss of muscle mass. But it's not the same as eating food where your brain is going to go, oh, I just ate a piece of chicken. I don't need anything now. I don't have to be hungry for a while. If you drink a protein shake, you're like drinking water, and your hunger will not actually be dampened down for very long from that supplement. So if that's why you're using protein supplements for appetite control, you just want to be a little bit more careful. It might not work as well.
You mentioned that it's always better to get your protein from your food rather than the protein powders. And I suspect some of the reasons is because with food you're getting fibers and things. But is there anything,
Yeah.
as long as you say had, you were eating kale and peas and I'm thinking of all the things that are in my garden right now, and eating all those wonderful things that have fiber and vitamins and minerals, could then you just get your protein from protein shakes or a large portion of it from or protein powder?
I would still advocate for eating at least some protein foods in addition to those fruits and veggies, and then just using the supplement as
Mhm.
a supplement rather than the main event.
Is there a problem with having too much of it? I'm asking that because I enjoy having my protein powder. I have it in my plain yogurt, and then I'll mix in the protein powder, and that's my and fruit and all that. That's a breakfast, right?
Yeah.
Um, is it okay to have one of your meals as protein powder? Your protein
I think
source?
if it was one of your meals,
Yeah,
yeah, but if it was every meal, that would start to potentially create other issues and conversations.
right. So
Yeah,
you don't want to overload on those. One protein meal a day from the or portion from the protein powders.
yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of budget-friendly protein, I know that we're all looking to at our costs and whatnot. Can you recommend some budget-friendly ones, whether it's in plant protein, or does it make sense to does it even save you money to have protein powders?
I don't think it would save you money to use protein powder
Mm,
over the long run. I think by far the cheapest is going to be your legumes
mm.
because you can buy them canned at the dollar store. So you're paying $1 for a can of chickpeas. Or you
Or
can buy
better yet,
bags.
dried, right?
Yeah, you can buy bags of dried
Mm,
ones. So you might pay $3, $5 in the grocery store, but that's going to give you like 20 cups of beans once
mm,
you boil them up.
mm.
So that's very cost effective. They freeze really well. So lots of people will make a big pot of beans or use an instant pot or a pressure cooker and then just put them in the freezer in 1 or 2 cup servings so you can bring them out for recipes. And then that saves you time in the long run. Um, Other than legumes, eggs and peanut butter are relatively cost effective. Canned tuna, sometimes you can find it on sale and it's pretty cost effective. And then if you're looking for meat, your chicken thighs, anything with a
Mm.
skin on it or with a bone in it is going to be typically a little bit cheaper than your boneless, skinless. So ideally, you take the skin off before you eat it, but it's a little bit cheaper to buy chicken thighs. Um, or frozen fish, right? Captain
Yeah,
Highliner has
yeah.
salmon fillets, 4 fillets for $10. That's fairly reasonable when you're looking at salmon. So
Those are all great suggestions. I didn't hear tofu. Is tofu in the cheaper range or not?
I forgot about tofu. It
Yeah.
would be. You're going to get a brick of tofu for around $3, 3.50
Mhm.
maybe, and that will serve 2 to 3 people for one meal. Yeah.
that's a great one. And I know lots
Yeah.
of people are like, oh, I don't like tofu, but my counter to that is it's like this blank canvas. You can make it
Yeah.
taste however you want, right?
Yeah. This doesn't make it sound more appetizing, but bear with me.
Okay.
It's a little bit like a sponge. So when you open a package of tofu, there's water in there,
Yeah.
and the tofu is saturated with water. So if you just take that brick of tofu and pour sauce on top of it, just like a sponge that's already full of water,
Mm.
it's not going to absorb anything. So in order to actually prepare that tofu and make it taste good, you need to press the water out. So you're
Mm.
going to cut it in slabs, put it in between tea towels or paper towels with a stack of plates on top. It'll press the water out, and now your sponge is empty. You can put a sauce or marinade on top of it, and it'll soak in just like a sponge. In my experience, people who say, I tried tofu once and it was horrible, didn't actually know to drain it first. And so it didn't take on any flavor. And then it does taste a little bit like a damp sponge,
Yeah.
right? But if you do that draining step
Yeah.
first, now it's going to taste like that blank canvas. It'll taste like whatever flavor you
Yeah.
put with it. And then it can be quite delightful. Yeah.
I did not know that. That is
Yeah.
awesome. And you're not losing anything from that water?
Nope. It's
It
just
is just
water.
water. Huh.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant. Huh.
Yeah. And tofu is actually a complete protein because of how much it's processed. So that's
Huh.
one plant food that you can eat and not have to worry about combining some other plant source through the day.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it like so convenient to have in the fridge too, because it doesn't go bad as quickly as
Nope.
meat if you forget
Yeah.
it in the back or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
cheaper. And it's now that I know it's complete and I can get rid of water, even
Yep.
better.
Yep.
Huh.
I've
Wow, this
converted
is
you. I love it.
yeah, this has been great. I've been putting it in the air fryer to get rid of the some
Right.
of the water, but this paper towel
Yep.
thing sounds a little more
Yep.
effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Carol, you have been just a wealth of information. We've learned so much from this and ways to stay strong and to keep active. Make sure you do those weights and get your protein. And even if you do like the cinnamon bun for breakfast, I'm not saying who
Have a
might
boiled egg on the
have a
side.
boiled egg on the side and you can still enjoy it.
That's right.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for
All right.
having me.
All right. Take care. Okay, and before I'll stop the recording, but if you think of any other subjects that would be great specifically for seniors, let me know. And yeah,
What's your
at some
audience?
point.
Like, I don't actually know,
55 plus.
like, and so is this like where are you from?
Calgary
How do people find you?
At Unison
What?
at Kirby Center. We're on our YouTube.
Oh,
I'll
the
send you
Kirby
the link
Center.
to
I'm
our
from Calgary, so I know about the Kirby
okay,
Center.
yeah, that's where the
Yeah.
Kirby Center
Okay.
here. And
Okay.
we started a
Okay.
new thing called Unison TV. And so I do programs where I'll interview some seniors. They all go down to the cafe and I'll talk to them, but hey, how much protein do you get? Do you think you're getting enough protein? And so I'll start the story with them and then lead on into the expert being you.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, so that's an example. I'm doing one on wildfire smoke, how it disproportionately affects older adults and the
Right.
heat. Like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
moral.
Well, I'm thinking back to presentations I've done over the years
Yeah.
for nutrition and aging.
Hmm.
Bone health is
Mm.
always a big conversation,
Okay.
and pooping, constipation, because it
Okay.
happens so commonly in seniors.
Ugh.
So how do you not be constipated is often a good topic. And then falls prevention, that wouldn't be my wheelhouse. That would be an
Yeah.
occupational therapist, but
Right.
that is, of course, a big
Oh,
topic
yeah.
as
We could
well.
do a whole
So,
thing on constipation.
yeah.
Eat kale.
Yeah.
My garden is
That,
overflowing with kale. Just keep
that
eating
might be
kale.
a hard sell. But yes, there are definitely ways. And so,
Okay.
yeah, if you ever wanted to talk about that, I'm also a
Yeah.
poop girl. So, yeah,
Awesome.
let us know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
yeah, I'll send you the link when it's done.
Perfect.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.